At the phase now where I'm writing a one-woman show called Travelling Light, which is an exploration of family, generations between my mum, my grandma and myself, but also looking at women's voices over that time and how we empower ourselves through our voices and expressing ourselves. And this one is kind of, it was actually dedicated to an image that I saw of an Afghanistani woman just sitting with the whole full burqa, and the full thing with just the grid hair in the middle. And she just looked like a pile of laundry if you didn't know there was a woman in there, you know. And I thought to myself, I want to just write something because the image spoke to me. And it's called AsPropertyProtests. They thrashed her within an inch of her life, told her it would make her a wise woman, a better wife. For this life was never about her skin that bled woman in the dust. She would have to wait for the next. There were no floodgates, no bastion that could hold her tongue that sat ripe for bursting, marinated in the velvety, thorny seat of her will. You see, Fatima had to snare her trembling agitation with prayers and bitter lips. She herself had to hobble her insurgent instinct to express, break it at the knees, forcing herself to kneel at every clock tick, at every sunbeam, and every crack of light she could find. And she'd pray, and she'd pray, and she'd pray. And the tremor was felt all over the house. The neighbors complained of pictures jumping like lemmings off the walls and china plates edging themselves off shells when Fatima prayed, but no one saw it coming. No one saw how the summoning would bring the air rushing to where she knelt, where the windows got sucked out and the furniture and that clock and the kitchen pots that flew around the room, and how the cheap chandeliers and the wall lamps clung. And these fingers, the fingers of this wind, pulled up the nails and the floorboards and flung them, and the plaster from the walls was stripped in great clumps, and the hinges on all the doors were strained, creaking, and then they broke, and the noise was like a thunder of bewildered wildebeest hoof, the roar of crash of water from rock, from a 500-foot drop, the sonic boom of silence mercilessly inverted. And there was this smell, this acrid smell that was like fresh ash that awoke in her esophagus, a scream incubating all her 21 years. Fatima had seen enough to know that if her jaw dropped any lower, if her throat opened any wider, if her lungs drew the breath that would complete their involuntary mission, she knew her reflex would be revolution.